Welcome to part 5 and the final segment of our ripple blanket crochet along. Here is our beautiful blanket that we're making. Hopefully you are keeping up. If not, that's okay, because this is a work at your own pace. I wanted to go ahead and get this last installment up for those of you who are working ahead. If you remember, we left off here where everyone was working up their patterns. I haven't continued my pattern yet. I'm going to keep working on this to make it the size that I want, alternating my sea blue and my river ripple colors here. So I'm gonna work that up. But to help you kind of move along, I went ahead and made up this little swatch. So this little swatch here is a just 36 stitches. So this is one repeat. So this is a segment of 6, 2, and then I wanted to do 6 here, but I only had enough yarn to do 5. So this is a little, it looks a little bit short, and that's okay because it still works for what we're going to do. What we're going to do is put on our border and weave in our ends. So if you did not use the stacked single crochet, then your sides will look a little bit different, but not much. If you did use the stacked single crochet and you did not carry your yarn like this, and you don't want to put a border on your blanket, then you're done, because it'll look just like this and it'll be so pretty, and it doesn't even need a border. It's so nice and straight. If you did carry your yarn like I did here, you're going to want to cover that up. You're going to want to put a border on it. So go ahead and trim any tails that you have. Give it a nice long trim and weave in that tail. I'm not going to show you that on here. I'm going to have another little short video on that just because of time constraints. I want to show you this pretty border. I'm going to use kind of a contrasting color with this. It's going to look a little funny, and the only reason I'm doing that is so that you can really see what it looks like. I want you to be able to get a good view of it. So I'm going to use this navy color just because I want you to be able to see where I'm putting these stitches, because it's a little hard to tell, if it's the same color. What I will do with my blanket is do my border the same color as the main color, but you can pick any color. I mean, you can go with one of the stripes, you can do a round of each color, you can do whatever you want. On this blanket here, I did just a round of single crochet because I really like the way the texture and the colors and all that, the ripples, they just kind of give it so much character that I don't think it needs a big fancy border. But you can put any size border that you want, but this here is just one row of single crochet, and that's what I'm going to do on this blanket here, or this swatch here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my hook, and I'm going to go ahead and start in any corner. I'm going to start here just because that's convenient, and attach my yarn. Leave a nice long tail because you want to be able to weave that in. Pull your yarn through, chain one, and then give it just a little bit of a tug just to snug it up a little bit, okay? And then what you want to do is single crochet into that same spot. So go right into that same stitch, and I'm going to crochet over this tail right here, but you don't have to, like that. And then go ahead and put your stitch marker in that very first stitch. It's really easy to tell where you're at with this color, but if your color is the same, you're going to have difficulty. So I would go ahead just to be safe, so you're not getting to the end and you're like, where did I stop? And then you won't have any issues. So go ahead, put your stitch marker in so you know where you're at, okay? And then you're just going to single crochet all the way down. I'm trying to half double up and half double in for a while here. I'm going to single crochet each stitch all the way down and meet you right back. Okay, so I have one stitch left here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a single crochet, but I'm going to do that 3 times. Because you want to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into your corners to be able to turn. So just like that, okay? And then when you turn to the side, you're going to go ahead and you're going to work into the sides here. And each of these rows, you're going to want to work them so that they lay flat. One of the biggest issues with putting a border on the blanket is trying to get it to lay flat on the sides, not adding too many stitches. So a lot of times you'll see it start to kind of ripple up like this. And that just means you have too many stitches and you need to take some out. So sometimes depending on your tension, you have to work with it a little bit. But we're going to average about 2 stitches per row. If you can see in the purple, it's a little hard to tell in the white. But here is 1 row and here is 1 row. And you can see there's 2 stitches there and 2 stitches there. If that ends up being too much, too ripply, then kind of just do 3 stitches per 2 rows or whatever works to make sure your blanket lays flat, because you don't want it to be curly like that. So whatever works to make it lay flat, I would check it occasionally, just lay it down to see if it's staying flat for you and take them out if there's a ripple, and just do a few more less stitches. And then if there's a pucker, if it's like pulling tight like a pucker, you need to add a couple more stitches. That's not as common, but it's definitely something that can happen. So you just want to work into these bumps, and it's a little bit tricky to get into some of these spots, so I'm going to kind of show you the way we did these stacked single crochet. It kind of gives you a little bit of a stitch on the side here that you can use to go into. So it gives you a nice little spot to be able to kind of gauge where you're going. So you can put one there, and then there's a nice little hole here. Kind of go there. What you don't want to do is go like way down here or like here. You don't want to go in here. You want to work in this chain, because it's going to look a lot cleaner and neater if you're right on that edge like that. So I'm going to work here in this side of this stacked. It's another advantage to having this stacked single crochet. Now here, I'm not going to go into this hole here because it's going to make it look a little gapey. I'm going to go in between here. And sometimes it's a little hard to get in there, but I promise you it's worth it in the end. It looks so much cleaner and neater. Like that. And then just keep working down, all the way down, just like that. Working about 2 stitches per row, less if you need to, and that's what your border will look like in your chosen color. Do that same thing, work all the way to the bottom corner. When you get to that bottom corner, work 3 single crochets. Then if you worked in the back bump of your starting chain when you started, you'll see this nice pretty edge, and you can just do 1 stitch per. If you used the top loop of the chain, it's fine too. Just use the other side of the chain and go along. It's not quite as easy to see, but it looks just as pretty, so there's no wrong way to do that. So work those stitches all the way across. Sometimes this side over here is a little bit on the tight side, just because that's your chain, and if your chain was a little bit tight, it's going to be hard to get into. But if you kind of work your hook in the tight ones to start with, it's a little easier to keep working, and it gets easier as you go. Once you get all the way to your other corner here, make sure you do your 3 single crochets, and then come around this edge and do the exact same thing that you do on this side. Just try to work an even number of stitches to make your project lay flat. You don't want it to ripple. So about 2 stitches per row. If that doesn't work for you, then spread it out however it works, because there's not a wrong answer there. And then you'll be done with your project. You'll just need to weave in your the ends of your border, and you'll have a beautiful blanket like this. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're really happy with your project. It's so versatile, and it's really so soft. It's a fun project. I hope you join me again. I'm getting ready to host another crochet along And let me give you a little bit of a sneak peek of the colors because it is so pretty. I've got this heather together. I used ivory again. I don't know why I'm stuck on ivory right now. Ivory, heather together. And then I used this really pretty purple haze from Yarn Bee. These three colors together. I just made up a beautiful pattern and I'm so excited to show you. So subscribe to my page and hopefully you join me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.